Hello everyone, this is Dartt. I thought I'd share with you all my strategy for getting the most out of the Legion expansion. I'll be going step by step, and my hope is that anyone playing will be able to take something away from this to improve their own experience and tailor some of these ideas to fit their own preferences. Step 1. Raids, Mythic Plus, PvP. What's your pleasure? The nice thing about Legion is that it incentivizes a broad range of playstyles, so it's up to you to identify what you think you'll be investing a lot of time in. For me, that means raiding with side orders of Mythic Plus dungeons and maybe some PvP. You may have very different goals, so I'm going to explain the reasoning behind my choices. Currently, based on theory crafting I've seen from guildmates, sites like Icy Veins, and what I've seen in the first week of Emerald Nightmare, Marksman looks to be the most solid choice for a raid environment. The reasons for this include higher sustained DPS and higher burst. Or in a 5-man instance, you may not necessarily want to use Sidewinders or Barrage for fear of bringing the whole instance down on your head. This becomes less of an issue in a raid environment. In this scenario, a Marksman Hunter should be able to annihilate any size group of NPCs a tank can survive taking hits from. The higher single target and burst damage should also work well in this setting. Add to this, Marksman works very well in large-scale battlegrounds. The Beastmaster specialization, on the other hand, fills the exact opposite game content niche. If you choose the talents right, a Beastmaster Hunter works very well in any of the 5-man instances up to and including Mythic Plus difficulty. Its more controlled damage abilities, along with Beast Cleave, fit this setting perfectly. Further, Beastmaster works well in a solo setting for world quests and can hold its own in world PvP and small to mid-sized battlegrounds. I haven't mentioned survival yet, but that's not because it's a bad spec. Quite the opposite. Pound for pound, a survival hunter can pull higher numbers in a raid setting than a marksman. Add to this that they'll be in melee range and thus escape a large number of mechanics that specifically target range classes, and this gap can potentially widen even further. But there are a couple of issues that would preclude my trying to play this specialization for raids. First of all, survival is weak against large packs of adds or trash spawns. You shouldn't value a spec based on what it can do to trash pulls, but let's be honest. All of us as DPS enjoy looking at damage meters after a big pull and seeing outrageous metrics from a multi-target fight. That's part of the fun of playing a DPS class in a raid. The other issue is the most savvy raid leaders are going to allow a certain number of melee and ranged DPS slots. With the addition of the Demon Hunter hero class and Warlocks still recovering from the early 7.03 changes, the smart play for a hunter wanting to guarantee himself a raid slot is to opt for a ranged specialization. Add to this, if you've spent time playing both ranged and melee DPS, you know that these are two completely different play styles. If you're already comfortable playing as a ranged DPS, right now you're probably better off staying there rather than attempting to pick up a new spec and a new play style. Of course, if by some happenstance your raid group is short on melee DPS and you're conversant with that play style, you may very well want to give survival a try. I'm not going to go into talent choices and artifact weapon trait choices in this video. I'll probably do guides for each spec based on my own choices soon. But for now, I'll just refer you to icyveins.com and encourage you to use your best judgment based on your own situation. That site's guides can save you a lot of time, so do yourself a service and check it out. As far as artifact weapons themselves go, I dumped most of my artifact power into Titan Strike until I was 13 points in, then switched to Thasdora. Right now I'm at a very respectable 20 points now that the first raid is unlocked. Now comes the dilemma. How do you know when to develop one artifact and when to switch off to another? There is a method that will allow you to progress with multiple artifact weapons at once and stay competitive. What you will want to do is to focus on your main artifact weapon and use your huge artifact power reward items on that. Use your smaller treasure chest, 5-man boss reward, and the like to develop your secondary weapon. Once smaller items start having no real effect on your secondary weapon, you can even start working on your third and final weapon if you choose to round out your capabilities. As far as gaining artifact power goes, you want to always be looking for more during your play session. Whether it's doing world quests or chaining 5-man instances, there is no wrong answer for how you come by it. The developers have acknowledged that gaining artifact power through PvP is going to be slow going up until the start of the first Legion PvP season, but we're there. So if you're heavy into PvP, get to work. One thing you want to be mindful of is artifact knowledge. Always keep your artifact knowledge work orders queued up and running, and even if you have huge class all order hall bonuses purchases available, make sure you have enough to re-queue an artifact knowledge work order if one is about to come due. Don't overlook world quests that reward class order hall resources. In fact, I would urge you to do those as quickly as possible, both to stockpile resources and to cycle them quickly to get ones that reward artifact power, gear upgrades, and relic upgrades. About relics. If you haven't noticed by now, there's a huge item level difference between an artifact weapon socketed with green relics and one decked out with heroic Titan forged or Mythic War forged relics. Be on the lookout for these, especially if they help you double down on damage output by ranking up an important damage trait. I'd also urge you to consult Icy Veins to look up exactly which traits to be on the lookout for. Step 2. Gearing up. In Legion, there are plenty of paths you can choose to gear up. My advice would be to pursue multiple methods to optimize your chances at high quality armor. The strategy I've used is to combine running heroic and mythic 5-mans with cycling world quests to maximize the odds of getting item level 840 plus heroic Titan forged or Mythic War forged items. If you enjoy PvP play over PvE, you may want to substitute battleground and arena play or incorporate that into your gearing strategy. Also bear in mind that those 840 plus epics aren't the real reason you're trying to maximize your gear rolls. Nor will raiding or rated PvP play necessarily be the end. Rather, they are a means to the real end, which is gaining legendary items. I just recently obtained Qapla' Eridan War Order, and I've literally had to change my Beastmaster rotation to get the full use out of it. Legendaries have not stopped being game changers, so don't kid yourself into thinking that your artifact weapon is all you need. If you are lucky enough to have multiple legendaries drop for you, do not destroy what you're not using. Be ready to switch them out depending on the situation. Also, it's been stated that you'll be able to equip more than one down the road, and that there may be mechanics added later to allow you to exchange or destroy these for valuable rewards. A very important thing for you to consider while you're playing is your loot specialization. Be sure to right-click your portrait and make sure you have this set to the specialization you want potential legendaries to match. Also, once you have all the legendaries for that spec, you may want to switch this to a different spec and start collecting the legendaries for the new one. You will not see a legendary drop for a specialization your loot preference is not set to. Another thing to be mindful of while gearing are sockets in premium items. Be sure to gem and enchant your items appropriately. It doesn't matter what content you're interested in. More stats equate to a higher probability of success. Consumable items are another thing you may want to consider investing in to help your performance. Potions, flasks, and stat food are a good way to give yourself an edge, but they do come with a cost. Be it time spent farming mats or gold spent on the auction hall. Step 3. Logistics. Whether you're soloing level 112 golden elites for world quests, running raids, doing Mythic Plus, 5-mans, or PvPing, you're going to have expenses. Maybe with regards to gems and enchants, probably in terms of consumables, almost definitely where repairs are concerned. The worst feeling in the world is doing what you enjoy and running out of money. The money game becomes even more important if you have aspirations of collecting some of the more pricey items from the Mad Merchant. Fortunately, there are a lot of ways to do whatever you want and stay flush with gold. There are a number of things you can do to gain money in the long run, and if it sounds like I'm being obnoxiously condescending here, I apologize. I know several players who one would consider to be not only top of the server or realm, but also highly ranked among the world community, but for whatever reason, can't seem to accumulate money to save their lives, or buy game time tokens for that matter. I'll just go right down the list here. Number 1, always loot your corpses. I know it sounds silly and preachy, but the junk you loot from corpses will actually pay for your repairs. So you can gain money from the rest of these methods. Stuff you don't loot is supposed to wind up in your mail, but I'm not sure I trust this 100%, and if by some chance this messes up and you miss out on some incredible drop, you only have yourself to blame. Number 2, save and auction haul green item drops. Right now on my server, people are paying around 100 gold per green. This will of course vary depending on how populated your server is, but if you do a lot of world content, this can add up in a hurry. If you're an enchanter and can disenchant these and auction the mats themselves, more money for you. If you happen to pick up extra battle pets or toys, or can make them with professions, always keep a few listed on the auction hall. Collectors happily pay for these, and they will give you a steady income. Number 4, be sure to keep up your profession quest chains and always be stockpiling mats and turning them into things you can either use to stay self-sufficient, trade with other raid members or friends for gems, enchants, or consumables, or to sell on the auction hall. You don't need to do all the professions to be self-sufficient. You just need access to friends or guildmates who appreciate the services you render. Number 5, if you have access to either smithing or tailoring, but especially if you're a leather worker, you should take advantage of the Obliterum Forge quest by producing and auctioning the wrist pieces for it. Number 6, be sure to pick up the shoulder enchant appropriate for your profession. This will give you access to more materials. Use what you can, auction the rest. Number 7, don't shy away from world quests that yield item drops. Those items still vendor for 20 to 50 gold each. Number 8, similarly, pounce on world quests that award gold. This is just free money in your pocket. Don't be shy about picking it up. 9, the same goes for class order hall missions that reward gold. If you don't have artifact power missions, run these both for the money and to cycle them in favor of missions that reward artifact power. 10, if you aren't a tailor, keep enough cloth to maintain a supply of bandages and auction the rest. Cloth trades very quickly on the auction hall, and you'll pick up a moderate amount of it world questing. 11. If you enjoy fishing, or in the process of chasing achievements related to it, you should be able to make money selling either the fish or the stat foods you can create from them. Herbalism potions will be harder to come by this expansion unless a hotfix goes through, so food will be the go-to buff for raiders. These are just a few ways to fund your activities in game. There are so many more that I could make a guide about nothing else, but I'm sure you get the idea. Even if you use these methods in passing, you should have no trouble generating enough of an income to pay for your expenses and have enough left over to buy game time tokens, rare pets, things on the black market auction hall, basically whatever you want. Step 4. Time and resource management. It goes without saying that you're going to be flooded with more things to do than you reasonably have time to pursue in Legion. My advice on the subject is pretty straightforward. Do things that reward gear upgrades or things that could reward relic upgrades first. Then artifact power, then garrison resources, then gold. The reasoning behind this is that improved gear and item levels will help you more than anything. Not only will it help your survivability, but it can help you find better groups of people to play with, which, apart from being a reward of its own, helps you optimize your time. If you don't have to spend hours looking for a raid or mythic 5-man farm group, you'll get a lot more done and have time to pursue other goals. Relic upgrades help with this directly by increasing your artifact weapon's item level and contributing a level of an advantageous trait. This helps you perform your group or raid role, which happens to be inflicting damage. If it comes down to it, and you have to choose between a relic and another piece of equipment of comparable item level increase, I would opt for the relic. Of the remaining game resources, artifact power is going to have the most direct effect on your character's overall strength. Garrison resources are a currency which you're going to have a hard time replacing if you ignore opportunities to gain them. So certainly you want to collect this before gold. The strategy is easiest to see while world questing, but you can apply it to 5-man's raids and PvP as well. Obviously, you may not be able to opt out of raiding if you're part of a progression raid team with your guild, but otherwise this can serve as a useful rule of thumb. Resources such as artifact power, garrison resources, and other alternative currencies, and lastly gold, you should manage in much the same way. A final word. I put this together with hunters in mind, but honestly, you can apply most of this to any class or specialization with little or no real modification. It's a simple matter of identifying which spec serves you best in whatever circumstance and going from there. At any rate, I hope you found this useful, and please hit that like button if so. Feel free to share this, and I'd love to read your comments, so please leave those below. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Once again, this is Dartt. Good luck, have fun, go tear this expansion up.